Welcome to the HR Forms Bite-Size Education Clinic. My name is Beth and I am one of the HR Systems Administrator and Trainers. Alongside me today, I have my colleague Melanie, who is also a HR Systems Administrator. The purpose of today's webinar is to provide basic context of ESR and the data held within, which HR form you should complete and when, and why we ask for the information that we do. We will also cover common themes and issues we are finding and how to ask for help or clarification if needed. Within this session, we will be covering the following topics, and they are: what is ESR, data quality within ESR, HR forms, and parental leave. So ESR stands for Electronic Staff Record, and it is the largest payroll system in the world and is a national England and Wales NHS HR workforce solution, where the contract is managed by central government. Contractually, IBM must implement enhancements to meet the overall NHS strategy, including the People Plan. So each month, NHS Digital measures the quality of our data in ESR on a monthly report, which is called the WOVEN, and this stands for the Workforce Validation Engine. The ESR Central team and NHS Digital have worked together to create a validation and data quality reporting system to increase the quality of the data in ESR, both for primary and secondary uses. The team are not notified of any errors and given their national ranking score and position in the performance table. Our team takes data quality seriously and we aim to provide the trust with the best quality data possible. So, as a trust, we use the data held within ESR to provide accurate information for freedom of information requests, national workforce returns, report on absence management, to ensure that staff are paid correctly, to ensure there is an accurate record of NHS employment and associated training and appraisal activity. We also use it to support recruitment and retention plans and to report on all workforce metrics for national, regional and local purposes. It is important that the information we record in ESR is accurate, as the data is used to forecast future workforce requirements to meet the needs of the business. So, for example, if there is a national shortage of health visitors, then funding can be allocated to do a drive on health visitor training and recruitment. Now we are going to run through which HR forms should be used and when to ensure the correct information is inputted onto an employee record within ESR. A new starter form should be used for new employees, returning retirees, or returning employees. It is important that all employee and manager sections are completed to ensure HR forms have the correct information in order to process the form without any hold-ups. Section 9 on the starter form should be completed if the new returning employee requires supervisor or approval access in order to fulfill their role. It is important that this section is completed, otherwise it could delay on new supervisors receiving their access and also may result in an impact on employees' salary if their claims aren't approved or absence is not entered or amended on time. So it is also important that the employee's supervisor is recorded in this section to make sure the hierarchy is correct in ESR. Then we have a notification of change form. So this should be used if an employee is going on internal or external secondment, if there has been any changes to an employee's current post, such as a change in hours, a change in base, or a change in band, etc. Creating an additional post, for example, a creation of a bank post to enable an employee to claim additional hours, work that differs from their substantive role. To notify us if the employee will be going on or returning from maternity leave, or any other pay affecting factors, such as call allowance, pay protection, and enhancements. Please ensure that for an increase in expenditure, so for example, an increase in hours, an increase of banding or contract extensions, that you complete sections 1 and 4 to evidence the appropriate approval, as the form cannot be processed without this. Section 2 on the notification of change form should be completed with all of the employee's current details and must match what is recorded in ESR in terms of banding, cost centre and hours, etc. All of the fields are mandatory and should be completed. If you are unsure, please contact ESR Forms, who will be able to advise you. Section 3 on the change form should detail the changes required. For example, if the employee has a change to their contracted hours, then you would need to tick that the change is for an amendment of hours. You would then enter the new hours in the hours sessions section and complete the effective date field as well. Section 5 on the notification of change form should be completed if the employee requires supervisor or approval access in order to fulfill their role. It is important that this section is completed, otherwise it could delay any new supervisors from receiving their access, which could potentially impact on employees not receiving their salary if their claims aren't approved or absence is not entered or amended on time. So it is also important that if the change results in a hierarchy change, that this is also detailed in this section by completing who the new supervisor would be. If you realise that you've not completed a change form to notify us of a reduction in hours or banding, which will cause an overpayment to the employee, then please contact the HR Forms team immediately, either by emailing hrforms@ncic.nhs.uk or by telephone, and that number is 01228 602044. A notification of change form should then be completed and sent to the team for processing. Then we have a termination form. So a termination form should be used for employees who are leaving the trust, the termination of any additional assignments that are no longer required, or for instigating the issue of a pension pack. It is important that the termination form is completed and sent to the HR Forms team for processing as soon as you are notified, and where possible prior to the employee leaving the trust, to ensure that no overpayments are made. If you realise that you've not completed a termination form, or that the employee has left the trust at short notice, then please contact the HR Forms team immediately, again with the email, which is hrforms@ncic.nhs.uk, or the same telephone as before, which is 01228 602 044. And this is so that the team can ensure that no overpayments are made to the employee. A termination form should then be completed and sent to the team for processing. Section 4 on the termination form should be completed if the terminating employee has supervisor or approval access, and it should stipulate who will be replacing the employee with completing this responsibility. It is important that this section is completed, otherwise it could delay on the replacement supervisors receiving their access, and also may result in an impact on employees' salary if their claims aren't approved or the absence is not entered or amended on time. Top reasons why forms are queried are that there isn't an assignment number on the form, employee or manager signatures are missing, or that they are typed and not handwritten or digital signatures. The effective date of the new starter, change or termination hasn't been stipulated, or the form was submitted after the deadline, or that the approval for increasing expenditure is missing. Here are the deadlines for this financial year. The HR Forms deadlines are always earlier than expenses and timesheet deadlines, and this has been done to facilitate the high volume of forms that they receive, as well as to accommodate the time restraints that the team face due to payroll processing deadlines. So it is really important that all forms are submitted to the team prior to the effective date of any amendments to be made in ESR, and this is to ensure the employee is not over or underpaid. All ePay and e-expense claims should be submitted and approved before the deadline of the 10th of every month. This date does differ at Christmas due to payday being earlier. Employees should submit their claims as soon as possible to ensure sufficient time for approval. If you have any questions in regards to HR forms, then you can email hr.systems@ncic.nhs.uk. So we're now going to move on to what the process is for parental leave. I'll hand over to you, Melanie.
So, firstly, the employee manager should familiarise themselves with the maternity, paternity, shared parental leave, adoption leave, pay and leave policy, and the risk assessment of new and expectant mothers at work policy. Both policies can be found within the policy section on the intranet. Completed risk assessment forms should be sent to the HR help desk, who will place this on the employee's file for future reference. If you do have any queries in regards to the policies, then we would advise that you speak to your HR advisor. In order for maternity, paternity, shared parental leave, or adoption leave to be processed, the employee will need to complete the relevant application form for the type of leave that they're requesting, along with the correct supporting evidence. So for maternity leave, the employee will need to submit the original MAP B1 form. For paternity or shared parental leave, the employee will need to submit a copy of the MAP B1 form. For adoption leave, instead of submitting a MAP B1 form, the employee will be required to provide a matching certificate or confirmation that the child will be placed with the employee in a form of a letter or an email from the adoption agency. All copies documents must be countersigned by the employee's manager. All application forms and supporting evidence should be sent to the parental leave email address. Please note that application forms cannot be processed if we haven't received the supporting evidence. Original MAP B1 forms should be sent recorded delivery to Park House at the following address. So that's South Park House Building, Barron Way, Kingmore Business Park, Carlisle, CA6 4SJ. We recommend that the employee and manager should sit down 1 month before the due date and discuss if there have been any changes to the commencement date of the maternity or adoption leave, or if their last working date has changed. To put an employee on parental or adoption leave, a notification of change form must be completed as soon as possible, and this needs to be sent to the parental leave inbox. The point of the change form is that it confirms whether the start date of the leave has remained the same as the application form or if there are any amendments. The change form also allows the employee to confirm how they would like their pay to be averaged. If any dates change after submitting all of the paperwork, then please email parental.leave@ncic.nhs.uk and they will update this for you and inform payroll. So keeping in touch days, managers should utilise kit days with the employee. These will be paid and they're also a very good way of keeping the employee up to date with any changes that may have happened within the team or within the trust. In addition to this, it's a very good opportunity to attend any relevant training that may have been missed. A maximum of 10 kit days can be claimed, so this is 10 instances in total that the employee has worked during their maternity leave. The manager should complete a kit form to ensure the employee is paid. The kit form can be found at the back of the maternity, paternity, shared parental leave, adoption pay and leave policy. Once completed, this should be forwarded to the parental leave inbox for processing. Please note that none of these shifts should be claimed via the e-roster or e-pay systems. At least 1 month before the employee is due to return from parental leave, the manager should utilise a kit day to arrange a catch-up with the employee. This would be a good opportunity to review what mandatory training is outstanding and needs to be completed in order for them to be fully compliant on their first day back to work. To return an employee from parental leave, you'll need to submit a notification of change form to ensure that they are reinstated back to full pay. The return to work date should be effective either from the date the employee commences annual leave, or if the employee has chosen to take this, or the date the employee physically returns to work if no annual leave is being taken. Payroll will then reinstate full pay from this date. Before we end today's session, we just wanted to let you know about the Coronavirus Hub, which can be accessed by clicking on the orange Coronavirus Hub link on the homepage of the intranet. The Hub contains information and guidance for both employees and managers for everything COVID related. For managers and supervisors, there are guides on how to record COVID-related absences, expense and timesheet forms, which are to be used to claim for any COVID-related activity, risk assessment guidance, links to education and learning, to name but a few. The Hub also provides the latest coronavirus updates to help keep you up to date with the current situation in our hospitals and how to look after your health and well-being. So it's definitely worth having a look and promoting this to the rest of the team. The Hub is managed by the Central Communications team, who should be contacted if any information needs updating, adding or removing. So that is the end of the webinar. So we'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for your time today. Thank you.